Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Bruce?
Lionel?
Bruce?
Lionel?
I have a question for you.
I hope I have an answer for you.
Is this the first podcast since the last podcast?
Yes, it is.
Oh, wow, you had that right at your fingertips.
Hey, it's on the whiteboard right there, man. Look, see?
Boom.
It's in like 4-inch high letters on the whiteboard over there.
That's true, yeah, it is. Yeah, that's right there. Next time we talk to Gordy will be the next podcast.
It will.
Gordy Robinson. Who's taken
The Gordy Robinson?
The Gordy Robinson, the president of the National Model Railroad Association of the world.
There you go.
I got a question for you. You're a man. You're a scholarly man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go with that.
Can the guy from Scotland be the Prime Minister of Canada?
I do not believe so because I think to be Prime Minister of Canada, you have to be a Canadian citizen.
You can't do it remotely?
No.
How about...
Although some would argue the guy's doing it now.
Yeah, that's not bad. Hey, I walked you right into that one.
He did. Oh, smacked it.
Yeah, we didn't even write that one. We didn't even write that one up.
No.
How about...
Just think what it'd be like if we had pre-show meetings.
Yeah, that would be good. All right, let's get Gordy in here because we're going to talk to Gordy Robinson, the president of the National Model Railroad Association.
I believe this is the first time we've had a president of the National Model Railroad Association on the podcast.
I believe you are correct. We've had president-elect.
Yes.
And we've had guys running for president.
Yes.
But we've never actually had the president of the NMRA on the podcast.
That's right.
And I had to go through a series of... I had to contact...
Did you have to do all the security stuff?
I had to contact his people.
Oh, I know. Yes. They did a background check on me.
And they brushed me off a couple of times. They said he's very busy. And a couple of times his assistants would go, and who are you again?
Yes. Why are you keep bothering Mr. Robinson?
There's this one person named Annabelle. And she's like, and who are you? And why do you want to talk to my dad?
Yes. But she is cute, though.
She is cute, yeah. Not like Gordy.
Oh, there's another one deep out of the park.
Yeah. Another Lincoln Homer. I don't think if you ever tried to record, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Reproduce or redo the another Lincoln Homer that we have.
Oh, the original one that we did?
Man,
yeah, that was a beauty.
That was a classic.
That was a beauty. We were rolling on laughter in that one.
Come on in, Gordy.
Hey, guys.
Oh, hey.
Hello, Gordy.
Hello, Gordy.
Hello, AML.
Is this the first time we talked to you since you've been the president?
I think so. I'm not the first president that's been on AML, though. That is not true.
No?
No.
Who did we have on?
We organised to interview Charlie. And we had Charlie and Christina, and we talked a lot about
that's right.
Old people.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we talked a lot about old people.
Old people and scale police and stuff like that.
That's right.
Yes.
How old are you now, Gordy?
34.
34. Your phone's on, Bruce.
Yes, I realize that.
Did I message you?
No, my wife did.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was just background. As Bruce was doing a bit of banding while we were talking. But...
Yes.
He's got a cage full of birds right behind him. He grabs one and bands it. What was it you were telling me earlier, Bruce, about some hotel in Orkney?
The one in Stromness that they're going to stop serving alcohol.
Have you heard about that, Gordy?
Oh, it's all the rage. Well, it's not the rage. There's a lot of people raging about it, but it's in the news this week.
And
sure.
Just one hotel, one pub?
Yeah. It's the first pub that everybody sees when they arrive in Orkney because it's on the pier in Stromness. So it's got a bar there that's called the Flatty Bar. I'm not quite sure what a flatty is. It's something to do with fishing. And it's it's full of memorabilia from all the fishing boats that ran out of Stromness Harbour going back probably 300 or 400 years. It's not that old, but they've got like all stuff that people have donated, and it's a very popular drinking spot that's going to now be teetotal. So it's not particularly popular.
And yeah, but that's just this one bar, right? It's not. They're not are they trying to get it where the whole place is like that or something?
So it's they're turning it into a bring your own bottle place.
Oh.
Where you can bring your own booze in, which I don't know how much local research they've done to how much booze the locals can drink. But the locals are questioning whether these people have ever actually been to Orkney other than to buy this building. So
Stromness isn't the main place though in Orkney, though, is it? Orkney is the main town. Or no, what's the main town?
Kirkwall.
Yeah, that's where the airport is.
That's right. So that's basically translates from Scottish as church wall, because that's where the cathedral is, and that's the main city in Orkney. It's not very big, and Stromness is the harbour town in Scapa Flow, which is where most people arrive. It's also where the Hudson Bay Company was founded, and the Hudson Bay Company ran out of Stromness for all of its existence. And a lot of Orcadians emigrated to Canada through Stromness. So there's some history there.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
I am so coming there. I am like, it is like now that the world is almost returning to normal, I am like so coming to see you. This is like going to be one of my coolest trips of all time.
It depends what time of year you come. It might be, yeah.
I was there in the summer and it was like howling gales, but the sun was out.
I see me coming late September, early October.
That could be nippy and breezy and windy and snowy.
You're super welcome. Maybe we'll get the Northern Lights out for you as well. So
yeah,
there you go. Yeah.
I think that night you were in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
I'm not being funny, but there's been so many solar storms so far this season. The Northern Light season's kind of September to March. Obviously, it's the winter time, and there's been so many solar storms that every night it's been clear, which is not many, but every night that it's been clear, there's been some element of the Northern Lights. Sometimes it's just a green glow, and sometimes it's doing all the different colours and it's moving around. So, That's pretty much all through the season. But the problem we've got is the weather. There's obviously clouds, you can't see it, but
right. Yeah. Does it actually snow in Orkney?
Yeah, it snowed. It's not like it snows in Canada, but yeah, I mean we're 58.9 degrees north in Bury, and we're basically 59 degrees north in Kirkwall. So we're as high as, no, not much lower than, I can't remember, we're just higher than Churchill, Manitoba, or just lower. But yeah, we don't have polar bears, but we do get the snow.
Right, and you're in Bury, right?
That's right. Yeah,
that's a little island.
It is. It's 3.5 square miles.
Yeah. Is it? And is it connected to the? Is it actually connected by land to this next little part where St. Margaret's Hope is and all that?
It's connected by an artificial causeway that was put in by Italian prisoners of war, which conveniently blocked off some entrances for German U-boats into Scapa Flow. But the Geneva Committee signed off on it being not being war work. And so since World War II, these things opened in 1945. The Italians surrendered in 1943, but they carried on working on it. And they finished the job because none of them wanted to really go back to Italy and actually fight the Germans. But so they stayed and built these causeways. And they're still in use today. And they're very, very, it's great because these islands, Bury and South Ronaldsay, which is where St. Margaret's Hope is, we're not connected to the mainland of Orkney. So it would have been a ferry ride and you would have been very isolated. Whereas for me, for us now, it's a 15-minute ride into Kirkwall as opposed to it would probably be an hour on a ferry. So
yeah, it would change everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. It makes. I mean, it makes it fun to live where you live because Kirkwall's just 15 minutes down the road.
Yeah, and I mean these things get closed because they're not tidal, but the swell and everything in the North Sea. I mean, we're in the North Atlantic on one side, the North Sea on the other. You can get 30, 40-foot waves coming over these barriers, and they get closed, and then you are a bit isolated. But it's only, maybe for a day or two. It's not, it's not forever. So.
Has that happened to you yet since you've been there?
Oh, at least a dozen times. Yeah, it's great.
Wow. So you have to be careful of your wife, and you tell your wife, like, don't be going out. Stay where you are, and don't be trying to.
Yeah, it's not worth taking the risk. So a lot of the employers in Orkney have rules about adverse weather that they take very seriously. You know, we've got reasonably decent internet, so most people can work from home. But like obviously the children go into the high school, they need to go by bus. And last year, one of the buses, fortunately, didn't have school children on at the time, but one of the school buses lost its windshield because a wave hit it and ripped it off. It just peeled it like opening a can.
Wow.
So they take it seriously. And if there's adverse weather forecast, you get a 24-hour advisory, usually minimum, and we'll just go and do some grocery shopping or whatever we need to do, and then hunker down and see it out. So
Yeah, exactly. And how many islands make up Orkney?
There's 70 islands in total, but 16 are inhabited, which is possibly the root of your question.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So, but there's 17 like little rock outcroppings and everything, or 70 if you count all the
70, and then there's 16 that are inhabited.
16, yeah, cool. So how's it been? So how long you been the president of the NMRA?
I think it's 4 months next week. So yeah, it was maybe I started at the beginning of July, and so we're now in October. So yeah, it's about 4 months.
So how's it going? Are we ever going to see a digital copy of the magazine? Like ever? Like, are you going to make any headway on that whatsoever?
Well, you know, we're a bit slow and we don't get things done, but we have just launched a prototype digital magazine that we've just circulated to all of our membership for comment. It is a prototype, and you know, we've got a. I suppose it's a difficult one. So one of the first things I did as president was change a number of heads of department. One of which was the publications department, and I brought in Riley Triggs, who has taught graphic design and digital media at college level. So I thought that was a worthwhile person to bring in. And Riley and Speed, who's the new IT manager, Christina, the treasurer and the vice president, myself, have set up a working group to provide a digital magazine to the NMRA, and well, a digital, let's say, go on a digital journey, because I think it's beyond just turning a magazine into print, but that's the first stage. And so we've been meeting every week. We've gone and found a prototype. We've built and tested different models, presented it back to the board of directors, moved to a survey. We bought a license for SurveyMonkey so that we can actually do feedback surveys from our members, but also so we could send out a survey and ask them what they think of our prototype and the concept. And we've put a concept up there that if people, it's not where we want it to be, but it's a first step on the journey. And if people are happy with, taking that as a first step on the journey, we could start pretty much immediately and provide the magazine digitally.
So what kind of feedback you getting?
A broad mix. There's a broad mix. There's some positivity. There's some people that don't think we're going far enough. But I mean, you've got to go through the models. So, you know, the first Riley puts it better than me, but the first vehicle after the horse-drawn buggy was not a Porsche 911 or a Ford Mustang, and it looked very much similar to a horse and buggy, and I think they were doing similar speeds. You might even be able to go faster in a horse and buggy than the first automobile. So we're taking that approach. But some people think we should go towards New York Times and CNN. Well, you know, with online articles, etc., we're not that far away from that. I could see definitely that being delivered potentially with a mobile app within 4 to 5 years of us going digital in the first place. I mean, maybe even sooner. It might be 2 years. So, you know, imagine if you had in your pocket from the NMRA something similar to any kind of media app that you might have for news, and you've got all the articles on there, but in addition to that, you've got all your standards right in your pocket. You've got your standards, you've got references, you've got videos, you've got layout, track plans, you've got all that kind of stuff just on you all the time. That's kind of where we want to get to.
Yeah, could you tie that into an app that could be used at the conventions as well, Gordy?
I mean, very, very possible, but there are other best of breed apps for that particular purpose. Okay. But yeah, certainly, I think we could definitely tie into education and publications. But I mean, going digital is more than just that. But let's just stick to the feedback, and we can talk probably about that a bit more. There are other people that are not happy because it would involve the model that we've got to do it is that let's wind this back a little bit. So the Nmra board has made the mistake over the last 20 years since it was about 20 years ago that the magazine became separate from dues and was an additional subscription. So let's talk US prices because it's most of our members are in the US, where it's about now $50 for your membership and $28 plus shipping for the magazine. Okay, so you pay your subscription separately. So it's about $82 for Nmra membership with the magazine in America. And the assumption that was made was that everybody gets the magazine, which isn't the case. So a lot of the comms and communication and information about stuff gets put into the magazine, but only 70 to 75% of our members actually have the subscription for it. So the proposal that's in front of the board is if we go digital, it's very much just with the infrastructure that's in place in the Nmra. I would spend 2 years sorting out the IT so that we'd be in a position to have a digital subscription or a print subscription or a digital and print subscription. And then there's all the costs inherent to that just make things get really expensive. Or we take the opinion that we should have done this a long time ago. We should have provided the Nmra magazine digitally to every member as part of their membership, and we just do it. And if you want print, you pay the little bit extra that it costs us to get your magazine printed and shipped out to you wherever you are in the world. So that's the model that we're looking at. That gives us what that basically does is that means there's an increase in basic dues to account for that. It's certainly less than any other subscription to a digital magazine that's a commercial and a model railroading magazine in the world. I can tell you that for free. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. But basically, that gives us that core funding that says the production of the magazine to the point at which it goes to print is covered. Those costs are covered. It's not going to fluctuate with more or less subscribers because the member base pretty much stays what it is and we know it's covered, whereas the subscribers could go up and down and go all over the place. So if you are a basic member that doesn't get the magazine today, you're looking at about a $14 uplift, and that's worldwide. So it's $14 on every member. It's not, currently members outside of the USA pay slightly less for Nmra membership, but with this would be applied to everybody equally. And then for that, you would get 12 editions of the magazine per year digitally, right? Everyone would have access to it. So if you're currently a print subscriber to the Nmra magazine in the US, it's $82. Right. You can do the math. It's now going to be $64.
Wow.
So it's a cost saving to go digital if you choose to. If you don't and you continue to get print, it's probably going to go up by a few dollars because we anticipate there being less of a print run and some of those costs are fixed.
So in other words, the short answer is going forward, every single person that's a member of the NMRA will have access to the magazine for $64 as opposed to the 80-something dollars that it is now.
Correct. If you choose to go digital, yeah. And, you've got to imagine if you're in Australia or the UK, it's well over $150.
Sure, but I mean,
the print magazine.
But in reality, you're going to lower the cost of the membership. A full membership is going to reduce by almost 20%.
Yeah, exactly. So by, for 75% of our US members, if they choose to not take the print version, although I don't think everyone would choose to do that, but yeah, and it would come down. And if you're a life member, we're not taking away your print magazine. You're still going to get it. Like, you might choose not to. You might decide that environmentally friendliness, you don't want a print magazine, and that's fine. But all life members are going to be entitled to the same benefits they've always had. So they will still get a print magazine.
If I, as a life member, decide not to want the print one, that would save, obviously, a little bit of money to the organization. I'd be perfectly happy with a digital version and not get the print version.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Guys like Bruce, who are lifelong NMRA supporters, would probably say, no, just give me the digital one to save the NMRA money.
Yeah, but that's not going to be right for everyone. So we're not going to force that upon.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
So I set out, and I set out at the beginning when I said, I as president, I do not want to take away any benefit from anybody that's there today, and I won't do that. So for life members, it's still an option to take print. For any other normal member, at the cost it costs, it's still the option to take print. So we're not actually taking anything away, we're just adding. But for the normal members, for $64, I think you're getting a huge benefit by having access to the Nmra magazine. It's a commercially produced model railroading magazine that does 12 issues a year for $64, plus all the other benefits of Nmra membership, the insurance, the education, the AP program, all the standards and conformance work that we do in the background on your behalf as a modeler. All of that is still there. Ultimately, if you choose to go digital, you get a saving, as you say, Lionel. So I think it's good on the whole. Most people are cool with that once you explain it to them. For those 30% though that don't, obviously it represents a cost increase. So we've got to work with them because we don't want to lose 30% of our members. But I've been speaking to a lot of members. I've done a lot of Q&As, and I'm trying to be as visible as possible as the president. So I spoke to a lot of members just after NMRX this past Saturday, and spoke to a few that don't take the magazine, and they were positive. They see it as a benefit, but outside of North America, so in Canada, the British region, and Australia and New Zealand, by margin, they're taking a big increase in what they pay today.
Well, I think that's a huge step forward in being able, right out of the box, as the president, you're going to say, all right, we've discovered that not everybody has access to the magazine through choice or whatever. They don't want to pay the money. And now you're basically saying that the full NMRA membership with access to everybody will have the same access to the information will basically be reduced by 20%. I think that's huge. I really do.
Yeah, I do as well. I've just got to sell it to everybody else. And it's, for some people, it's been a hard sell because they're seeing it as a dues increase. But realistically, you're already paying that $14 if you're a print subscriber today. And we're not going to charge you $28 to get a print version on top of the $14 increase. All that's taken into account. So whereas it's $82 today, it might be $86 or something like that, just because there'll be a smaller print run and there's some fixed costs there that we can't eliminate. But
yeah, but that's a pretty small group where they think they're being forced. There's a dues increase, because what do you pay now if you don't get the magazine?
$50. So
it's gonna be $64, and everybody gets the same thing.
Yeah. It's just a few Starbucks, isn't it? It's not even. I don't even think you can get a freight car for that.
No,
I think it's less than the cost of a freight car. It's less than the cost of like a Scale Trains freight car kit or something like that. So,
and the majority of your membership is getting a reduction in price, not an increase.
Absolutely. Well, if they choose to, they have the option to. Yeah,
most people are probably going to choose to. I mean, I would love to have the NMRA magazine available digitally, because I'm just not interested in getting the magazine at all. Period. End of sentence. No, I mean,
absolutely. And certainly, like you mentioned, Gordy, for places like those in the UK and Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere around the world, it's by the time they get the magazine in the mail, it's probably at least a month or two way behind when it was sent out. So now all of a sudden you're talking like, boom, it's going to be sent out, and here's your access code, and here you go.
Absolutely.
You have access to it at the same time everybody else does.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about the ABC, and then we'll talk about things we can do as beyond this, I think, if that's okay. So the ABCE situation is that as a percentage increase, $14 to them is.
Hang on. What are you talking about? ABCE? What is that?
So Australia, the British region, Canada, and Europe.
Oh, look at that! Look at him with his acronyms, Bruce.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So
ABCE. Let me talk about the ABCE. Well, you just go ahead and talk about it, and I'll sit here completely confused.
That's fine. So let's talk about for the Brits, okay? So as an increase,
that'd be the B part, by the way.
Oh, okay,
the B part. Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting it now. I'm picking it up now.
Get it?
Because we're going to do each part individually here, but he's going to start with B. Not alphabetically.
Yeah.
So people, So people that are there, and so for them, it represents a bigger percentage increase on their current membership fees. So, but we've worked. I'm meeting with the Australian region this coming weekend, but I've already spoken to the British region because it's where I live, so it's easier time zone wise. And the British region board of directors and the members in the British region are extremely supportive of this. So effectively, if you're a member in the British region, they currently have a digital magazine. And we're going to talk pounds sterling because it's easier. So currently, a member of the British region pays £29 a year, and they get 6 digital British region magazines for that. Then now that's going to go up, so it's going to eventually be about £39. But the region's going to offset that, so it'll be increase of 35, then 37, then 39 over the coming years. But for that, effectively, as a British region member, you're going to get 18 editions a year of a digital 64-side model railroading magazine for that. I mean, it's
so that would be 6
century.
regional plus 12 national, then, right?
Yeah. Now, so that leads me into the other advantages of this. So once we've got this digital library, there's nothing stopping the Nmra doing quite a lot with it. And one of the ideas that's been put forward was the feedback already is, and this came from a member in Scotland in the Scottish division. So I'm plugged for my own division, but it wasn't me. And is that other regions could submit their magazines that they produce digitally into this library, so potentially all members could see other regions' magazines. And there's loads of great articles in some of our magazines, and we've got an example of one from the LSR that's up in our demo setting in the prototype. So you can see the Nmra magazine, you can also see the LSR magazine as digital magazines. Now we can put those up there. There's other prints, out of print publications that the Nmra doesn't have, paper copies of books and things that we've done in the past. There is nothing to stop us from releasing some of those books as ebooks, because it's just not worth us doing a print run, for example. So some of the old publications from the Nmra from back in the day that are still very relevant today, that might retail for quite a lot of money elsewhere on other auction sites, we can produce those as digital versions for our members. And potentially, I mean, the cost of doing it is quite low. So, we might need a bit of crowdfunding to get a few of these over the line, but we're not talking tens of thousands of dollars here to get those done as electronic versions. So, there's a lot there that we can do with it. It's kind of like the first step. It's a big step to take, but once we get over that first hurdle, then we can expand it, just like we've done with NMRX and everything else that we've done, or I've done or been involved in. We will expand it and we'll add additional benefits. And the cost of adding those additional benefits is not as big of a jump as the initial $14 is to get the magazine into there. So, it's. I'm very excited.
I don't think you really, Bruce, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I really don't think you need to over-explain it, because it sounds more to me like you're organizing everything, and at the end of the day, 70% of the membership is going to be a few bucks in pocket, rather than, like you're at a point now where, okay, it's a new world, and you're the guy that's kind of, taking us from the old world to the new world. And all right, so there's going to be some members that think, their membership has gone up, when in reality, for most of the membership, for the majority of the people, it will have gone down by 20%. I think that's a huge, that's a huge point you got to stick to.
Yeah, and just add what Gordy's saying about the publications. The NMRA has done a number, like railway equipment guides and some books on freight yards and track building and all sorts of things that were well received and very popular when they were first out in print, and hard to find now. And if you get the option of having those available as a digital download, for $10 or whatever, that's a win-win.
Absolutely,
in my opinion.
Yeah, and it sounds like a lot of that stuff Gordy's talking about, well, they're just going to put it make it available anyways. As the years go by, it'll be constantly refined and improved anyways. It'd be really cool. It'd be really cool to have an NMRA app for your phone.
Well, yeah, it's funny you should say that. We probably, if we can move on from this question, and I've got to say, unfortunately, Lionel, not everybody thinks like you and Bruce, so we do have to listen to everyone and taking their feedback. But we're really not very far away. We're already discussing and looking at the API connectivity for us to do that and make that happen. So that is potentially very close. So it's like, we're at a point where we've got out the survey now. We're waiting for the survey to come back. So, we're not stalling and sitting down. Like in the past, the NMRA has sat down, had a cup of tea, or maybe a coffee, it's America, and sat down and just waited for the next thing to come around, and then do the next thing, and then do the next thing. And then the project's taken 3 years. The person's off the board. Someone else comes on the board. It never moves forward. So we've I'm project managing this one, and so what we've done already is we're already moving into the comms phase. We're looking at how we can communicate. We're discussing this with other people now. We're looking to do a comms plan and everything like that. If the director sign it off, we've brought forward and added in an extra director. I've added in an extra board meeting in December so we can move this agenda forward.
What's the comms phase?
Comms phase would be communicating with people that we're making the change. So this would be telling people what we're going to do, because not everybody will have seen the survey. Not everyone.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. No. So. What did you know what he was talking about, Bruce, when he said the comms phase?
I figured it'd be something to do with communicating with the membership, getting feedback and stuff. But he told us for sure.
Well, la-di-da.
Yeah, so there's other things. There's other things we want to do, guys. There's a huge amount of things that we want to get done. We want to. We've got some really good ideas, and we've got a team that's literally just sitting here waiting for me to be freed up to, kick that project off, to look at some new education stuff, to look at some new education programs for our members that are, all I'm going to say at this point is digital is a part of it. And we're looking to I want to kick that off for pilot. I want that piloted by the end of next year. I want it ideally piloted by the convention in St. Louis in summer. So I want to kick that project off, but I can't kick that project off because I don't have the capacity to do it until we've got of resolved this one. So we're not rushing it, but it's going at a pace to make sure that we're ready for the next phase of this project. And and there's lots and lots of things I want to do. We've got to change the organization. We can't change it overnight, just because we just don't have enough people. But there's stuff that's always going on. It's a very, very busy time. And we want the organisation to be there in the future for the next generation that's coming forward. From me being, people, the average age of the Nmra is 60, so it's funny for me to say to be preparing it for the next generation. But there are a lot of younger people than me that are members of the Nmra. They're the next generation, and we need to be preparing it, make sure it's there and it's sustainable for them, as well as for everybody who's currently a member. And that's what we seek to do. So there is a lot of work going on.
Speaking of members, one of the concerns / complaints that seems to come up fairly regularly on various social media and email groups and stuff is seems to be a great disconnect between getting your membership paid. I think you can sign up online now, but then there's a great disconnect by the time they get a membership card and somebody contacts them. It could be a month or more later. And is one of the things that you're looking at in the digital age is that if somebody signs up online right away, they do have an option that will generate them a temporary membership card they can use, and then that information will automatically give forward to the correct region or division to get these people into the loop faster than it's happening now.
Yeah, so obviously we want to improve that process. So we've already done some work in that regard. So we launched the new Nmra store, which means that you're taking card payments in the same website now, at least. Speed, the head of IT, has kind of inherited a department of him and one other person who was only very much, you could consider him part-time. Everyone's a volunteer. So we've done a recruitment drive for that department. We've got 7 new people, but because we've got so many projects already ongoing, we don't have capacity to onboard them. So we're just looking to bring in some external training in order to onboard these people faster. Once them people are on board, then we will be driving forward and looking at modernizing that aspect. The only thing I can say is membership that's members that are joining outside of the United States. So in particular in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain and Europe, they go through the local region first before they're passed on to Nmra headquarters. So there can be a little bit of a delay there. Some regions have invested in some technology that means it's quicker, but basically most work on a monthly return. So that's where there's a delay. We want to eliminate that as well, and make sure those local regions, the local region will contact you in Australia and the UK and give you your membership card. It's issued locally, so it gets to you pretty quick. But yeah, we know. I know that's a problem. We've done some stuff, like I say, to make that better. There's always more we can do. Once we've onboarded additional volunteers into the IT team, that's something that I know Speed's looking at it now. He's already preparing for us to be able to kick that project off, but we need to just can't say what I was going to say. Bring them up to speed, but that's which doesn't really work. So we need to do some training of our new volunteers, and we've literally onboarded these people over the last couple of months. So, we need to. We're looking for a training provider to train them up in the software that we use and the website users and stuff like that. But I would think, that's a little bit of a longer game, Bruce. I would hope that we could do some serious work with that probably from July next year onwards.
Yeah, because that's I think Bruce is right. That's important. Now, before we go forward, when you mention the name Speed, you speak of
Gert Muller, but I can't say Gert properly, so he's known to everyone as Speed. But this is the man in the helix of NMRAX.
Yeah, and his Speed Muller, and his name is Gert, Gert, and he lives in Texas. Most of
he lives in Fort Worth, I think.
I think he does, or he doesn't live too far from our buddy Chris Atkins, who of course lives in Argyle, Texas, home of the Fighting Sox. I love that. Who's this Riley guy you keep talking about?
Yeah, so Riley's another guy in Texas, and Riley's our new head of publication. So he took over from Don. So Don had been doing a good job for a good many years. But the skill set wasn't really with Don. His skills weren't in true digital publishing. Digital publishing isn't take a magazine and turn it into a PDF and put it online. Digital publishing is more what you would see if you went to the New York Times website and things like that, where you've seen online articles and all that kind of stuff. And that's more where Riley's expertise is. So I was very fortunate to be able to bring Riley on board in July. And
how'd you find him?
Through the LSR. So some members in the LSR said that I needed to talk to Riley, and so I did.
And the LSR, LSR is the Lone Star
Texas.
region.
Yes,
the Lone Star region. Are you going to try to visit every region eventually?
I would love to. I probably need to start by writing a list of where I've already been.
There you go.
But I'd love to actually visit more members in Canada. That's one thing I know I need to put the effort in to do.
Yeah, I won't be here.
That's okay. But I know I need to put more effort into that. I've been out to the Maritimes and met the division out there, and been to the Northeastern region, Mid-Eastern region, Midwest region, Thousand Lakes, out to the Rocky Mountain region, the Pacific South region, the California guys, Texas. So I've done quite a few. Southeastern region, Sunshine region. I've done quite a few.
Yeah. So as honestly as you can, after you were elected and you had your first meeting, how much resistance were you getting? Because here's this 34-year-old guy that shows up, who lives in Scotland, and now he's going to be the president of the NMRA, which basically for a lot of the old guard was, just about as shocking as it could possibly be.
Resistance from who?
I don't know. Did you get resistance from the old guard at all?
Not from the board. Well, one person said that I'll bankrupt the NMRA within 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, if I was going to give the magazine away, I can tell you I would manage that quite successfully. But that's not. I mean, it's just not my background or experience. A few things like that. But in terms of at national level, no, absolutely not. I mean, the first board meeting I chaired, was I think the fastest virtual board meeting. Well, fastest board meeting we've ever done, and it wasn't because we were skipping over things. It's because we were just getting it done. I just asked for a few simple changes, like instead of spending ages introducing everybody, I made sure everybody was on an online meeting. Apparently people have done Zoom and stuff. Just put what your role is as well as your name in your image, so everybody knows who you are when you speak. Simple things like that. That cuts out all the introductions, so that saved us like half an hour of waste, and stuff like that. So no, it's been great. There is a little bit of resistance at the moment, but it's more people's genuine concerns and making sure that we're doing the right thing with how we're going about the digital magazine. I would say at national level, no one doesn't think it's the right thing to do. It's just discussion around how do we do it, which is nice. That's moved the conversation on light years from when I joined the board last November. So it's a different place now, and no, I haven't really met any resistance. I'm sure there are a few people that are not happy with various aspects of me being in the chair, from a return to British rule, all the way through to, my age, all the way, not knowing me not having been in another senior role at national level for very long anywhere else. But, there's some really good people at national, and there's some people that, I've got some good people that I'm working with. So it's not just one person.
Let me try this question from a positive standpoint. Were you pleasantly surprised with how many good people are at the national level, and how much people wanted to work with you and try to move the organization forward? Were you pleasantly surprised with that?
I mean, I'm pleased with the support that I've got from people, but I wasn't not expecting to get people's support. I mean, I saw a need to change some personnel. So I pretty much changed every head of department apart from administration, which isn't my area. That's under the Treasury, and it's we our chief administration officer is great, so we wouldn't be doing that. Obviously, we got our marketing consultant and our head of fundraising, but everybody else changed roles either because they wanted to step down or we need new people. So there's obviously a lot of new people there as well. So obviously being involved in selecting some of those people or vetting some of those people to work with, has probably helped a little bit. But it's a good team. I'm really pleased with where we're at with the national team. We could do with more volunteers. I'd say the biggest surprise was in June when I was trying to work through the transition and meeting and talking about things with all the department heads, was just how people about departments. So what I found when I came into post is a lot of departments and committees were just one person, and that's not a department or a committee. That's not functioning. So that's been the biggest challenge I've found is that. And the biggest challenge that I'm working with in the organisation at the moment is culture. And one of those weird cultures that we seem to have developed is being too shy to ask for help, and seeing asking for help as a weakness, which I fundamentally disagree with. And hence why we've found ourselves struggling. And I think that's probably been endemic for about 10 years in the organisation of people leaving roles in departments and committees and just not being replaced. So I've done a lot of work to try to bring in volunteers. I've set goals for all of my department heads that they need to bring in additional people to help within their departments over this year, or we'll be having a conversation about that in June next year. But so far so good. People have been doing that. We've been bringing in some new people, training them up, offering opportunities, asking for help, and we'll continue to do that until we're effectively staffed. Because we can't do anything without volunteers. We're not in a position where we can throw members' money on tons of paid employees. We're not that big. We don't need to do that. There are plenty of people out there that will help, that have got a passion and want to drive forward the hobby and the organisation. So it's just about asking for that help and being welcoming of it. All the things that we say, all the things that we preach to other people about welcoming people into your division or welcoming people into your club or group or whatever, is the same kind of thing. We need to be following our own advice a little bit, and that's what we started to do. So, and also me, what I'm like. So I've been very open. I've done a lot of Ask the President, FaceTime with members, with Meet the Presidents, Q&A sessions, etc. Appeared on other people's social media talking shows, because there is only one podcast, so I can't say that. I can't say I've been on anything that's called a podcast, because there is only one podcast. But we've done a lot of that, and it's all about, for me, it's all about listening to members, and that's why, as part of the strategy for digital, or not even a strategy, just going digital. That obviously the strategy is to be the Nmra, but to do it a little bit more digital than we are. We've invested in SurveyMonkey, so that is all about, that's Gordy's forte of actually talking and listening. So we'll be with that. We'll be doing more surveys. We'll be asking people's opinion on where we think what we should do, getting people's ideas on stuff. And just the way those surveys are, they upset some people because they can't write in tons of writing comments. But can you imagine if we're getting 2,000 to 3,000 responses, having to trawl through every single comment of every single question? It just doesn't work like that, guys. It just doesn't work. But so that we have to tailor the questions a little bit to try to get a yes or no, or satisfactory or not satisfactory, or somewhere in the middle kind of answers from people. But we'll be doing more of that. I want us to look at, as part of what Bruce was kind of alluding to earlier, I really want us to start looking at why are people leaving, and actually asking. people that have left to give us some feedback, and asking people why they've joined. I mean, it's important to be on the front and the back, and why have you renewed and stuff like that. So as we get more mature with using the feedback and survey tools that are available to us, I think it'll just help us drive the organization forward. So we'll be looking to do that. If there's anyone that wants to help with that, with marketing, then get in touch. We'd love to have more help. So
one of the things I think, Gordy, and this thing on top of my head here, I know on the Facebook there's the Nmra group, which is fairly active, very large numbers, which I believe members are probably minority in that group. Have you thought about tailoring a survey to non-members to see what they might be looking for and how they might want to see it?
Absolutely, and that's what we can do. So I see that me being just the way I am, I don't see why any model railroader doesn't want to be a member of the Nmra, although I can understand why people have personal issues with the Nmra and grievances, and I don't know, model railroaders do hold grudges very well. So there's, something might have happened 20 years ago to somebody's fifth friend twice removed, and that means they don't want to be a member of the NMRA because so-and-so said so-and-so. But yeah, we need to do that as well, and we will do, and that's what this allows us to do. We're only just scratching the surface of the capabilities of that. We've got a license in place there such that we can collaborate on surveys, so the whole national team can be, providing feedback and impact, impacting on the design of the surveys and the content as we build them. We can do it collaboratively, and then once we're happy, we're able to send them out. So it's not like emailing it round and round and round. People can go in, see what other people have said, add their own comments, and give that feedback straight back to the person producing it. So it's a really, really good tool that enables us to pivot and put surveys out quite quickly. And with the dispatch that's been put in place, the new email system, we've got a way to quickly send something out to members and say, hey, look, we would like your feedback on this or whatever. And we've done quite a few. We've done a survey on LCC, which we're using to work with manufacturers of LCC products. That's layout, command, control. I know. Don't worry about what that is if you don't know. We did one earlier in the year on NMREX to get some feedback about NMREX and what had people done with that. And we asked a few questions in there about digital magazine as well.
So what if somebody's listening to this and they feel like, yeah, I'd like to help out, and what would be the best way? Should they contact you directly, or what's the best way to volunteer?
The best way is to just drop me an email, which is president@nmra.org, or Christina, our marketing head of marketing, at marketing@nmra.org. We make these dead.
So it's president@nmra.org.
Yeah, easy.
What's that?
Nice and easy.
What? Is he drinking?
Nice and easy.
Bruce?
President@nmra.org. It's easy.
N-E, nice and easy. Yeah, it is nice and easy. Has he been drinking, Bruce, do you think?
I don't think so.
Maybe you should start. Has your taste in beer changed since you've been the president?
No. Should it have?
No, I just wondered if you've. Yeah, does the borough of, what do you call it? Borough Township of Orkney? What do you call it? Or what do you call it in Scotland? What is the area? What is Orkney called?
Orkney's a county.
The county. Okay. Does the county of Orkney know that they have the president of the NMRA living right in the county? Like, you need one of the home of Gordy Robinson, president of the NMRA.
I think the people that I work with that know about it, I think it's pretty cool, actually. Yeah, people do think it's pretty cool.
What's the membership now of the NMRA?
It's we're just under 16,000.
Is it still dropping?
Yeah, it COVID hurt.
It hurt it, did it?
It hurt us really badly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really bad. And I don't just mean people that have passed on, but yeah, we've not been able to attend division meetings and whatever. People just stopped renewing. A lot of people renew at train shows and stuff. Well, they've not happened. So yeah, 2020 we lost just under 7% of our membership overall.
Wow,
and that hurt a lot. Sore.
It helped the industry. It helped the industry tremendously, and yet it hurt the organization.
Yeah, but then you hear the other side of some guys who were doing online meets and stuff like that, so they've got more out of their membership in that period than they would have before, because now they've got a chance to have somebody from, say, the UK do a clinic on scenery, and they're meeting regularly versus maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And so that it's kind of 6 one after the other, but it still hurts if your numbers have dropped. Yeah.
So I think we've got to look at it positively. So it's the pandemic's allowed us to reconnect with a lot of people that were maybe a little bit lost because they or weren't attending their division meetings. They might still have been Nmra members, but they weren't attending their division meetings. They kind of disconnected from their local division. And by the division now offering hybrid or online meetings in addition to face-to-face, they've reconnected. Great. And I know a lot of cases of that. I know a lot of cases of people that have rejoined the organisation because of all that kind of stuff as well. So that's positive. Unfortunately, though, we have to accept that a lot of people join every year at a train show, and they've done that for 20 years. And that train show never happened, so they haven't joined. As those train shows come back, if those people don't rejoin the Nmra, we've got a big problem that we need to fix. And it hurts us because people are working really, really hard to provide a really good organisation and a good place for model railroaders to hang their hat and partake in things. But for whatever reason, we let 7% of our membership down. So
what about my radical idea? I know it's radical, and I know it's not an easy sell. But what about my idea of, I don't know, for $19.99, you get a membership card and access to the website, and you're just selling it as, okay, you don't get much for your $20, but this is the umbrella we all live under, is the Nmra. Like, has there been any thought about that? Because I think for a lot of people, $50 or $60, they think twice about it because they go, well, am I really getting anything out of it? And that seems to be a common thread, is that they don't feel like they get anything out of the Nmra. And I think that's something that needs to be addressed because as far as I'm concerned, the younger, it's always been, oh my God, there's not enough young people. Well, I think now with the advent of social media, and yes, Dalton, I know I'm going on about it, but that's okay, Dalton. I'm glad you wrote in. With the advent of social media, I think there are more young people under the age of 40 in this hobby than there's ever been before.
I think you're aware of more people, but I think we've always been there. But anyway, the ultimately, if we had double or triple the number of members, I could easily do that. But as the numbers of members dwindle, some fixed costs don't, and that's what becomes a difficult situation. So I'm putting in place people to provide additional reasons to be a member of the Nmra without significant additional costs, and we are always trying to reduce our costs. But I've looked at the budget, and where the budget's at this point, the best thing we can do to reduce the membership cost to 70% of my members is to go digital, and that's what we're doing. So we are prioritizing projects that enable us to reduce your overall cost. If we can keep the membership fee where it is with the current inflation, or as close to it as we can with current levels of inflation, it won't be long before it becomes more affordable, if you know what I mean. So,
sure, yeah, if you don't raise it and inflation continues. Yeah.
So we've got to constantly be looking at trying to reduce our costs and a little bit of investment in some tech and technology. When you apply it across everybody, it might be pennies on a membership. So, there are benefits to it. If we can do that, then we will do that. But I think it's absolutely impossible for me today to see a way to doing that in the near term. And when I mean near term, I mean between now and the end of July next year.
Sure, yeah.
But it's. I'm not saying we can't have done something radical. I mean, did you think in less than 4 months we had a prototype digital magazine?
Absolutely not. So, I'm thrilled with what you've done so far. I think one thing that people don't understand, and what do they call it in the United States? It's a C something or other. It's a charity where your finances are supposed to be yeah. But I think some people don't understand, without telling things that you don't want to tell, like what kind of fixed costs are there other than the magazine? I mean, you have a few employees. How many actual employees does the Nmra have?
About between 4 and 5, basically. Depends who's there or not and how many hours people are working. Some people are flexible with their hours that we need them to be.
Okay.
So it's about 4 or 5 full-time people.
And there is no office, so there's rent, I'm assuming, for there's one.
There is. There is. We do have a building where we store exhibits and things like that are for future use. We've got the libraries that we maintain. Obviously, we have some costs there around all the standards and testing and equipment, which isn't cheap. That are there that you can't. It costs us money to do the conformance testing that we have. People's membership fee directly goes towards testing DCC decoders and equipment, for example. We have oscilloscopes and all sorts of stuff. When we test a decoder that goes in your locomotive, we do a really, really, really thorough job on it.
Well, okay, so maybe that's something we need to investigate a bit more, because I would assume that if TCS makes a decoder, why do they need to get your approval? Like what? I don't understand where the NMRA comes into that.
Because we make sure for our members that there's full compatibility and that you've not got... I mean, when you come to electronics, there's lots of things that can go wrong that can impact other people's electronics.
Right.
So we're able to do that testing against other people's electronics.
So are you trying to...
because we have that we have that data that we've stored from other tests that we've done.
So are you trying to tell me that if a company makes a new decoder, they send one to the NMRA so it can be tested and meet conformance standards?
I'm not going to say all do. Some do their own testing that we've helped them with. But yeah, we also have the Dcc Working Group, which is all global manufacturers of DCC products. So the guys in Europe, China, and the US. We maintain that. We now do it virtually, but we also do in-person meetings, at least once a year when we can. With COVID, obviously we can't. We usually do 2 a year in person in the States. And we do virtual meetings, so we maintain all that as well. There's a significant amount of effort goes into maintaining conformance.
Yeah, and I think one of the big misconceptions out there, people say, the NMRA doesn't do anything, blah, blah, blah. Well, the NMRA got involved in very early on in DCC standards and things like that. So everybody's decoders and receivers and things like that would talk to each other. Otherwise, we'd be in a mishmash of who knows what. And, to people say, well, let's get DCC. I don't need the NMRA. Well, this is one of the things the NMRA got involved with. And, maybe got to plug that more. If it's, the NMRA and other parties were instrumental in formulating a set of worldwide standards for DCC, which allows anybody to use any other piece of equipment and not have big problems.
Maybe what we need to do is get a manufacturer and Gordy on here at the same time and explain that to the world.
We can do that. If anybody that you want to talk to at NMRA, I'll set it up for you. It's no problem.
Well, can't I just talk to you?
You can, but if you wanted to talk to somebody who does the actual DCC testing, I can get that set up for you.
Okay, without talking fast, I think we need to explore this a little bit faster, more.
Okay.
I think we need to explore this a little more in depth, because I personally don't understand all this jibber jabber that you just gave us about the NMRA and the standard. I understand that the NMRA has set standards at some point, and when the DCC began, the NMRA set standards. But if somebody makes a new decoder and they make it to NMRA standards, like you're making it sound like every decoder that's manufactured goes through the NMRA laboratories, which is a 20,000 square foot facility in Sacramento, California.
If it was, the membership fee would be a lot more.
I understand that, but that's part of the problem with the membership is people just basically don't, other than a magazine. People don't really see what they're getting. They understand that there's a division, and they understand there's meets that you go to. But as the future goes forward, and I disagree with you, I think that the hobby's going to grow like crazy, because yes, I think there's always been a certain segment of the population. I think most model railroaders are model railroaders from the age of 5. So everybody moves through the decades and they're model railroaders. However, I think now the hobby is becoming much more interesting to a much bigger field of people because of the access and the community and how you can talk to people. So I do believe that the hobby is...
No, I agree. I agree the hobby is growing. The evidence is there. I've talked about the evidence. I provided that in my first presidential column. Hornby's sales are up 63%. The evidence is there that the hobby is growing. Just from sales alone, the hobby is growing. That doesn't even come into account. What you can't count from that is most people that get into the hobby after buying a train set buy used models. So there's even more.
Yeah. So I think it's important. I think one of the big stumbling blocks for people, and me included, is I don't understand what all this money's being spent on. because okay, you got 4 or 5 employees. You have an office somewhere. Where's the office? Where do these 4 or 5 employees work?
Well, one of them is a contractor that works from home. The rest are in Soddy Daisy, Tennessee.
Soddy Daisy, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Didn't we used to have a building in Chattanooga or something?
We did at a museum there, but we've still got a building now. It's just a little bit more fit for purpose. Where and I don't want to go down there because a lot of members are still very hurt about the sale of the building and all that. And obviously, I wasn't involved. But
I'm sure it was something. Somehow it's your fault.
Of course, and that's fine. But now we've got a building where we can house exhibits and stuff like that. We do a lot of stuff for members and copying of old articles and sharing stuff and all that. So I'm not going to sit here and explain the budget line by line.
No, I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you to. But I don't think most people know where the actual. Me personally.
Okay.
Me personally, I've been a model railroader for 62 years or 60 years, and I couldn't tell you where I knew it used to be in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I knew the building was sold, and now you're telling me the headquarters are in Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, which is where exactly?
Well, being someone from the UK, I can't really give you like 10-by-10 directions here, but it's not far from Chattanooga. It's not far from Chattanooga. We're not far from where the headquarters was, and because all our people were already there, so there was not much point in moving. But
okay, so slow down. So is there like a 2,000 square foot office? Do you rent office space? Like where is this is a legitimate question. For God's sakes, where is the headquarters of the NMRA?
Our headquarters office, which is what I was just going on to explain, it's like ship headquarters where people can go. It's an office and storage facility, and where we store certain items of our archives and bits and pieces like that. So people are welcome to go and arrange to go and see the office if you want to. I wouldn't say it was a destination, but because it's an office, and
I don't even know. Like, the address? Yeah. Like, is it a unit in a strip mall? Is it out of a guy's trunk?
I've never physically been to the headquarters, but it's my understanding is it's in a business park and it's there. It's not like in a shop front and a strip mall. But the address is on the Nmra website. So
okay, and how big of a facility is it?
I haven't got the dimensions in front of me, but I can find that out for you if you want to know.
Yeah, I would like to know. I have no idea. That's one of the problems, I think, and I'm only speaking personally. This is only Lionel's thoughts. But I think that's one of the problems that has developed long before you ever showed up, is this kind of clandestine secrecy of the NMRA parent organization of exactly what is it and what does it do other than produce a magazine, and there's regions and divisions, and telling people that, okay, you're in this region and you're in that region. I think that's one of the main problems, is because I sit here and I'm going, okay, a 2,000 square foot office, let's say $3,000 a month for that, 4 or 5 employees, it's kind of a couple of $100,000. Where's the rest of the money going?
Yeah, so I'm not going to sit here and go through the budget line by line with you.
But I don't think, I'm talking here. Settle down there, young fella. No, I don't expect you to go line by line, but I really enjoy, like, I was a huge supporter of getting you elected, blah, blah, blah. And I'm glad that you're the president, but you're talking about all these things you're going to do. But I think one of the problems you need to address is basically a lot of people go, oh, what is it? And why is it there? Like, okay, you're telling me about the NMRAX. You're telling me you're going to do this for the magazine. You're telling me you're going to get new department heads and blah, blah, blah. But you're also telling me the membership's dropping and you got to get new members. Well, I would think, one of the things you got to do is make it as transparent as possible. That would probably be the word I would use.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just come back on a few points that you made there. So what I said was that COVID hurt our membership numbers. And as things are starting to get back to normal, we're seeing members coming back. So I don't want people to think that the NMRA is in terminal decline from this conversation, because that's just not the case. We've certainly not at the same level of membership we were in the early 90s, but then a lot of organizations are in a similar position. So that's not unique. That's just a slight change in the way that the world is. we know, I know, we all know we need to work to change that image of the Nmra and where the costs are, understand what our costs are, invest in some technology, do some investment. There's not been very significant investment for a long time, and that needs to happen. And it will happen. We will bring on new people. We will bring on new skills that will enable us ultimately, hopefully, to reduce costs and increase the membership. And that's something that we're working on. And it's not something that's not new. It's not unique. It's been talked about for a long time. But I would hope people have some faith to give me a little bit more than 4 months to start turning that. Well, I think in 4 months we already are turning that around. But it's like a carrier battle group, right? It's made up of many different moving parts that do many different little jobs. You can't just put up a flag signal that says 180-degree turn now and not have things colliding. So we have to turn it in degrees, and that's what we're doing. We've produced a prototype digital magazine in under 4 months.
Absolutely.
We're recruiting more people into our departments. We had, when I came in as president, I was presented with a situation where we had no convention after 2023, which is only really 18 months away. And the national convention's a really big deal for a lot of our members. It's a thing that they do every year. That's a disaster. So we've been a lot of the time that we could have been spent doing other things. We've had to, I don't know why I was put in this position, but we were, and we've had to do a lot of work. And now, unfortunately, I can say that we're expecting 2 bids from convention committees for 24 and 25, and we're hoping to see some for 26 and 27.
Okay, but let me be blunt. Let me be blunt. Future members don't give a shit that you're disorganized. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care.
Disorganized is a little bit unfair. That's a little bit unfair for the organization. There are aspects. There are aspects of any organization. I'm just being honest with you. I could just turn around and say everything's rosy, but I'm being quite honest and open and trying to be transparent.
And I could just serve up softball questions, and I'm not going to do that all the time.
No, I know you're not, but I don't think the organization's disorganized. I think that's quite unfair.
I know, all right, but that's a fair statement. But that's a fair that's a very fair statement. But I think it's important. Obviously, I'm a huge Gordy Robinson supporter, and I think you've already done massive, nothing but huge improvements. I can't see anything other than, and if you listen to all the podcasts, you'll have heard me say more than once on the podcast, I think you're the best thing that's happened to the NMRA in the last 50 years. I truly believe that. However, I think it's important that you don't get lost in I can hear you, we got to get members. Well, I'm looking on the NMRA website, and it doesn't even tell you where. It says Post Office Box 1328, Saudi Daisy. And one of the problems that people have, not all people, some people, where the naysayers come from, is where is all this money going? Because it costs approximately, usually about $20 a month for a post office box. So I mean, that's the kind of thing I think going forward is you just need to be.
Yeah, so absolutely, and we're changing that culture.
Yeah, changing the culture.
I'm here being honest and telling you about. You're asking me about what it's like to be the president. I'm giving you some honest answers, and and explaining to you some of the challenges that I currently face. I'm not. Would I like to not have to face those challenges? Would I like it to be rosy? Would I like us to be charging $10 a year to the members and being able to do that and balance the books and pay our staff a living wage like we do, and be a responsible employer and blah 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 blah? Absolutely, I would. But I've inherited what I've inherited.
Sure.
And I can't turn it around in 4 months. But definitely, I understand. I understand and hear those concerns from people. I've got 176 divisions worldwide. For this organized organization, and I need to make sure that we're a worldwide organization that can meet the needs of members everywhere and continue to do so. But part of my role is some stuff I can influence on national. So definitely, absolutely, Bruce's point about speeding up the process to get information back out to members when they join and all that kind of stuff. We're absolutely looking at that right now. We're bringing on new resources, as in volunteers. We've got the admin team working really hard, but we need to give them some better tech under the hood for technology. So we're recruiting into the technology space to enable us to do that. But I also take on board your comments about costs and the budget and justifying where those costs are coming from. If people want to look at where money has been spent in the past, bearing in mind I've been the president for 4 months, if you want to look where the money's been spent in the past and where it's being spent now, and understand that contracts are in place when a new president comes in, and I can't do too much about it like overnight because we've got contractual obligations, but you can see all of our 990 returns to the IRS. Our accounts are fully audited. The Nmra is held up as an example of not-for-profit organisations and how robust our accounting processes and procedures are. You can see where that money's going. You can see where your membership money is going. All I want to do is make sure that we are looking at how we can be more responsible, or not more responsible, how we can continue to be responsible, because we are very responsible with members' money today, how we can reduce the costs that we have to pay so that we can look at, if not reducing membership, but not increasing it, as we discussed. And in the meantime, as a parallel stream, how can we make sure that what we do for members and the benefits we provide for members get improved? However, all of that I have to caveat with the fact that the majority of what the Nmra does, like today, it might not be quite like this in the future, but the majority of what the Nmra does today, where the rubber meets the road, is at the local division level in 176 divisions worldwide. And that's, from a national perspective, it's very, very difficult to be micromanaging that. It's impossible. And we don't micromanage it. So what we do is we equip those as best we can. We seek to equip our divisions with the tools that they need to support them to be better. That's why last year we added over 300 hours of content to our YouTube channel with clinics from NMRAX, so that people can just go. You don't have to find a clinician every month. You can just go to our YouTube site and boom, there's the information.
But I think the point you're missing is you don't have to justify to me whether or not you're going to be a good president, because you said something to me that I'm sitting here kind of going, yeah, I'm not surprised. You get in there and there's no convention after 2022, and one of the first things you do is make sure there is bids coming. That's what people need to know about you. You're like you remind me of, I remember seeing I'm not going to mention names because then somebody will be offended and blah blah blah. But it was a 10-minute film I saw about a presidential nominee who was unknown and basically pounded the pavement and shook hands and made himself known until he became president of the United States. And you strike me as the same kind of guy. Like, you get in there, you find out there's no conventions, so you're working on fixing that. I would say it's more likely you got in there and found that there were so many busted tables and broken seats that you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off trying to fix every little problem, because that's a real problem, is that there was no conventions going forward, and people love national conventions. But the thing had just kind of deteriorated to this mess, and I think going forward, the NMRA needs to get away from the old, this is what we provide for you, and just be a really good organization that runs well. It's like what I'm saying. You go on the NMRA website, there's no address. The only address is a post office box. And that alone makes me kind of go, okay, well, post office box costs $20 a month. Like, what's going on? Like, that's been a big problem for years now, is it's been this clandestine organization that has had people on the board of directors who've been paying for their trips from going one place to the other twice a year and get free. A lot of people, the majority of the people that are on the board are very conscientious, very hardworking. But you cannot argue the fact that there's been a lot of people on the board that they're just looking to get into a free convention and get a couple of rooms hotel. So I'm just saying, I understand. You got to take a breath.
Exactly. I'm trying. I can't change the past, can I? I can't do that. I can't change the past.
You are changing it. You're changing it already, right?
I'm changing the future.
You are. You can't change the past. Absolutely, you can't change the past. But the past is. You're doing a spectacular job. Don't take
if
my.
If I could get somebody, and if I could literally get a magic wand and sprinkle a bit of pixie dust and wave my magic wand and go abracadabra, fix all the things that are on my list of things to fix, then I would love to do that. But I am absolutely committed. You got to remember that I currently work 2 jobs. I've got 2 children that are under 3 years old.
I understand. Oh, Gordy, settle down, buddy. I'm still in your corner.
It's not about me. It's about the organization. And I wish that I could commit 80 hours a week to the organization, but I just physically can't. And there are other people that are committing big hours to the organization now.
But I think
there are some fundamental things.
But I think that's an excellent point that needs to be made. Is the amount of time and the amount of commitment that you've made to the organization is phenomenal, and that's why it's going to grow and improve tremendously under your stewardship, is because of how much effort you put into this thing. So the mere fact that we're going to get on here, and every 6 months I'm going to irritate the living crap out of you by asking you questions, that's never going to change, because I'm never going to give you a free pass.
And that's fine. I don't want a free pass. I would rather come here. I'll come here every month and get bashed if I need to, and I don't mind. I'm here for public scrutiny, and I answer these kind of questions a lot and all the time. It's like I say, I would love to change it overnight. Some of the things you've just mentioned there, around costs and around transparency, are things that I need to change or improve. But I really can't do some of that overnight, and I don't think we're a secret that we're It's not other secret societies. You don't get blackballed in the Nmra.
It absolutely is a secret society. I would disagree with you that. I will disagree with you that.
What's secret?
Where is it?
You tell me what's secret.
Where is it?
All right,
where's what?
Where's the head office? Where's the head office?
I don't have the address.
I whacked that into Google Maps and it came up with NMRA.
I'm on the NMRA. I'm on the NMRA site.
And
it says
something. A lot of companies don't give you an address; they give you a PO box.
This is
because that's how they get their mail.
Okay, this isn't a company; it's an organization. All right,
it's a company. Okay. It's essentially a company.
No, it's
okay. A lot of organizations will give you a PO box instead of like I belong to an organization, Barry. We have a P.O. box. We don't have a fixed address.
Okay.
But we do stuff. And there's a lot of organizations that will run out of a P.O. box because that's an easy way for them to do it.
Okay.
And get their mail without having to deal with people coming to the door and things like that if there's really nothing there to see.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to Google Maps and put in an NMRA in Saudi Daisy, it brings you right up with the address, and it's a nice little metal sort of industrial building. In the end unit, they got an awning over the door. And
how did you find it?
It's about 20 minutes northeast.
How did you find it?
How did I find it?
Yeah.
I went to Google Maps and put National Model Railroad Association in Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, and it popped right up.
Okay. I found Saudi Daisy, Tennessee. I just didn't find. So you put in NMRA into the Saudi
National Model Railroad Association, Saudi Daisy, Tennessee, and it brings it right up.
That's a lot of type.
And it's about 20 minutes northeast of downtown Chattanooga.
And
it's spelled SODDY
Daisy
apostrophe.
It's
and it's on Gulfview Drive.
Yep.
There you go. So yeah. I mean, it's not like I say. It's not a destination.
Okay, but then that is my point exactly. Why do I, as a member, have to Google this? Why can't I find this on the website?
Ask the question: why do you need to find it?
Because
if you're going to communicate with the NMRA, you're either going to send them an email or you're going to send them a piece of mail.
Okay, I'll tell you.
And if you have something to deliver for them, you say, "Hey, Gordy, can you send me your delivery address so I can send you something?"
Okay, I'll tell you why I do want to find it. Because 30 years ago, I went on my way to the Daytona 500. My dad and I, who was a huge NMRA member all his life, we stopped in Chattanooga at the NMRA headquarters. It's gone. It doesn't exist anymore. Now it's a post office box. And if you want people to have faith in an organization, don't tell me that you're going to have this beautiful building that is now gone, and all it is a post office box. And for some strange and peculiar reason, the NMRA, the National Model Railroad Association, doesn't want to tell you where they are. You have to Google it. You have to search it out for yourself. It's behind the curtain. That has been the problem that has festered for the last 30 years. Is this behind the curtain clandestine? What's going on? Can somebody tell me? which is what's Gordy's going to fix.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you want me to print the address on the front page of the website, I'll do that. But it's not a destination; it's an office.
Absolutely,
And the address that we put out there in our official publications is our communication address.
Sure, but the point I'm making is not really about the place. The point is, I know one of Bruce's favorite presidents of the NMRA was involved in a lot of clandestine things. So the thing that's going to change with Gordy Robinson, and I can see it already, and I'm very excited about it, is this behind the curtain kind of thing that the NMRA has become. And like I hear you about all the programs and all of this and all of that, but at the same time, me personally, it's only one man's opinion. It's not the opinion of the entire AML Nation. But me personally, I think you got to pull the curtain back and see that it's just a little old guy pulling levers. It's not. We don't have to make it a secret. We can, this is that's
I don't really think I don't think we can say it's a secret when our accounts are published online. We're audited. We have our accounts audited, and as an organization, we're held up as an example to other not-for-profits.
Okay, so where are the accounts online?
On our website.
All right. So how do I find them?
So
I go to NMRA Finance.
You go to NMRA.org.
All right. IRS form.
You're going to all hear me typing while I walk you through this.
I found it. NMRAS 990 form. This is the kind of thing that will help, though. I personally believe, like this stuff wasn't. This is.
That's been up on the website for a while, quite a number of years. So, right. And that's up there. You can see it. There's also frequently asked questions on our website.
Oh, okay, but you're gonna the things you got to keep in mind is, total revenue for 2019, $2,300,000. People are going to want to. I understand what you're doing, and I absolutely am behind you 100%. But you got to pull the curtain back. That's what my personal feeling is. You got to pull the curtain back, and that's what you're doing. That's what you're going to do. That's what you've already done. I mean, you get there. That's a perfect point. Is you get there, and you find out there's no national convention scheduled. This is what's going to change. The way the organization is going to run is going to be spectacular. I mean, I have no doubt in that you're going to improve the organization 100% too. I don't believe in any number over 100%. So you're going to improve the organization 100%.
I mean, the thing for me is it's about changing the culture. So it's about making sure that we can, we have stuff available, that we think about asking for help when we need it as an organization, that we, seek the feedback of our members and model railroaders, and all that kind of stuff is happening. It's already starting to happen. And it's not necessarily that we've had a clean sweep and replaced everyone. We've got some different directors. Directors change every year. 3 new directors change, and new people come in. I can say that of the directors that came in to the board this past year, one of them was appointed. One of them was to replace me as at-large worldwide director. So it was actually 4, not 3. All 4 of them are still working age members. They still have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference from maybe in the past.
Yes, exactly. And they're all very enthusiastic too. I think that's important. That's an important point there. John Doring and Martin Jenkins, and who are the other directors that came in?
So John Doring.
Oh, we lost him again.
So Chris Palmieri was another one.
Did he? Chris Palmieri?
Yeah. Chris Palermo, who's in Texas.
Palermo, sorry.
Yeah. Chris Palermo. Yes. And also re-elected was Rob Peterson, who's on his second term in Australia. So, and then there's also other directors there as well who are retired, and so there's a good balance on the board. There's at least a new Western District Director, I believe, going to be in post because the incumbent isn't running again at the elections this year. So there'll be I think Mike Arnold's back up for re-election. Atlantic Director. Then it's the at-large worldwide. So Martin's up. His role is up this year, and there's a couple of people there. 2 are retired, and Martin's still working. And so there's a good balance there. And And it is changing the culture. You can see it straight away. Also, where the rubber really meets the road, there's the directors, and they do strategy. But in the tactical side of things, we have new heads of department now who are working people, and I think that makes a big difference. When you retire, you have more time, but you have a different pace to things, and so it's good. It's good that we've got retired people involved as volunteers in the organisation, but it's good to have that balance where we've got people that are more familiar with the latest tech or business practices in their area, and that's really, really helpful. So we have a good mix there now. Quite a few younger aged people have been brought in by myself and a few others. So I'm really pleased with where things are going. And there's a lot of end scalers. It makes a huge difference,
But it's end scale. Isn't end scale dead?
Well, apparently not, because the president's an end scaler, the vice president's an end scaler.
And hey,
the British region vice president's the end scaler.
I want to know what I want to talk.
President and vice president of the British region are end scalers.
I know what I want to talk about. I don't want to forget before we go out. Three things I want to talk. Were you drinking the day you made Martin Jenkins the worldwide director at large? Had you had a few? Had you been down to the pub and knocked back a few pints?
Why would I be drinking when I made that? Why would that decision?
It's Martin Jenkins.
Why would you make that assumption about that decision?
It's Martin Jenkins, for crying out loud.
It's a hugely experienced and extremely committed person.
That was a joke. Have you? Oh my technology. God! Don't tell me that being the president of the NMRA takes away your sense of humor.
No, because no. I'm going to defend Marty a little bit because quite a few people think I am crazy in that regard. But I just make sure. And the cool thing about Martin is he doesn't like mornings. This is one thing you should know about Martin. So Martin doesn't like mornings. So the NMRA has a monthly working meeting of the national, definitely the national directors. It's just. People think we're quite doing this behind closed doors. It's literally, we have an action list of actions that come up from our board meetings. And every month it's sit down with the directors and say, how much progress have you made with your actions? It's literally about checks and balances, right? Making sure people are actually doing what they said they would do and giving feedback and stuff like that between board meetings so that we don't have a board meeting in summer, turn up in winter and it's, have you done that action? No, I've not done anything with that. And, that was what was going on. So we've changed the culture a little bit there. But those meetings are at 5 a.m. on a Monday morning by the time it comes around in Australia. So, yeah. And Martin doesn't like mornings. And he said, I'll do it as long as there's no meetings in the morning. I said, well, they're not in the morning my time.
Oops. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I think Martin's an excellent choice. And once people get to realize how committed he is to the NMRA, that's the thing. You have such a huge plethora of people to choose from that are committed to the NMRA. I mean, that is beyond argument that there are a lot of people that are very, very committed to the NMRA.
Absolutely. And another N scaler. So Martin's making a HO scale out, but he's got a lot of N scale stuff. He does T-track and stuff. So the more N scalers, the better. And
knock that off. What about the S scalers? Don't you need some S scalers?
I would love to. I'm hoping to speak to some S scalers soon, actually, about how can we get more articles for S scale. I think there's an S scale article coming up in an upcoming NMRA magazine, but I want to get more stuff. The NMRA has always been a big supporter of oddball scales, and S scale is an oddball, but we've always had standards for it for a very long time. People think that we don't, but we do. And we also have standards for all the proto scales as well, proto 48, proto 87, etc. So the NMRA is quite broad in its scope of what we support. We're also looking at the scale 7 guys as well in the UK and whether we can work with them.
All right.
And that's another scale altogether.
Let me ask you another question. Do we even really need an NMRA magazine? I mean, isn't there enough publications out there has there even been any thought to just making a newsletter and keep everybody informed of all the news that they need to know? Do we actually need a magazine? Give me the short answer.
I think we do. What that magazine contains, though, is very much, to be driven by our membership, and it's up for discussion and debate. I know we're doing a lot of work. Riley, the head of publications, is doing a lot of work looking at.
Why does he keep leaving?
I'm not sure. He's having some issues. He keeps dropping out. So
Different.
the wind must be blowing the wrong way.
It is really windy tonight. It is really windy.
You said just so you got to the Riley part and then it dropped out.
Yeah, sorry. So Riley, our publications head of publications, is working with our editor and our and White River Publications, who produce our magazine under contract, to look at the content and make sure it's still relevant and improving it. When we go digital, we'll be looking to add additional content. So I think it fits in there. I think it's important. It's an important communication tool with our members. Whether in the future it's in the format of a magazine or more article based, like New York Times or CNN or name your media outlet, BBC, where they've got an app and they've got articles and stuff. I think that's the way that the future is. I think in the end of this decade, media will be very different.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think one thing, Gordy, too, that in the past, the magazine has certainly been an avenue for those who are getting interested in the achievement program, want to get MR author achievement certificate. It's a way that they can get some things into publication that will give them some points towards that. So that I think it's done a reasonable job that way.
That's a great point, Bruce. Is one of the ways the NMRA gets content for their magazines is it's one of the avenues for people to get their AP certificate under author.
It is, but we also do some things that other model railroading magazines don't do. I can't speak for them. I don't know why they don't do it, but we did a whole series of articles about ladies in the hobby.
Yes,
which is something that I've never seen any of our other magazines even attempt to cover that topic. We've got information about DCC and the change of DCC, and obviously it's somewhere for us to publish products that have been submitted to us for a conformance review. We talk. I mean, the majority of stuff that's in there is valuable, but quite sort of a good 50% of it is core about what's going on in our own organization. So why wouldn't we want to communicate that?
Exactly.
I want to circle around back to something you talked about a little bit earlier, Gordy, is that you mentioned where the rubber hits the road is division and regions. Having been a superintendent in the past and involved in regions and stuff, is there going to be some way to increase the funding that goes to the regions and divisions? Because I think right now the national kicks $2 per member down to the region level, which supposedly the regions will kick some of that to division levels. But, when you look at it, it's a pittance of funding that comes to the regions and divisions. And, without them, charging extra, because I know when we did things in the Central Ontario Division, we would, try to find a church at a reasonable rate. And, hopefully we could cover our costs by, charging $4 or $5, whatever it was, to get in the door. Because, frankly, the amount of money that flows down from the top level to the regions and divisions isn't much. And that if you're serious, in my thinking, to try and improve that, then is there a way you can improve the financial help to the regions and divisions so that they can put on better programs?
I mean, potentially there is. Weirdly, that request hasn't come through the Regional Advisory Council. So we have all region presidents have a council that feed into the board of directors who set the budget. It's not Gordy that sets the budget. Please don't people think that. It's the directors. Yeah. I look at it slightly different from you, Bruce. I can throw cash at people, or I can throw tools at people. And so at the moment, the thought with my mind is, how can I provide some tools to people to help them? So, one of the things that I think we can do as a national organization is purchasing power. So we've got Google business accounts and stuff we can give, which includes Google Meets and different pieces of software, Google Drive access, where people can host their website files and all that kind of techie stuff. We don't need to get into the detail. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'm looking at what are those tools that we can purchase for use at all levels and then cascade the access down. Because even if that costs us $4 per division, it's worth doing it and cascading it down, or whatever it costs. I mean, it's just making up a number there, but so it's a bit of both. I think we need to do a bit of both. I think we need to help, and certainly with some of the digitization that we can do, that can help put resources and technology in the hands of our regions and divisions. And of course, the model that you talk of is really only in North America. It's very different in Australia and New Zealand and the UK and Europe. So
okay, and I'm going to bring up, you brought the Regional Advisory Council. That has got to be the most misunderstood, secretive thing going, because
you mean it's clandestine? You mean it's clandestine?
Well, it's beyond clandestine, because I don't think anybody knows it's there, knows how to use it. Because theoretically, if you want a change made, you put it through to your division or region superintendent, and they're supposed to fire it off to this guy who may or may not take it up to the council. So if you got 25 proposals coming in from across the country, he decides which ones he might want to take to the meeting. So everybody just goes around them, and there's been complaining that they don't go through. Well, it's a convoluted, misunderstood process, which I don't know the logic behind it, but there's got to be a better way to do it.
There you go. Now we're getting somewhere. Thank you very much, Bruce. It's exactly my point. It's a clandestine organization that has over the years, before you showed up, built up this wall between the enemy, which was the membership, and the home team, which was the board of directors. I'm telling you,
I thought the enemy was people. I thought the enemy was people my age.
No, yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly.
Maybe I missed
you didn't exist. It didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. And before we go on, can we just get back to throwing tools to the division and say, let's not forget what Patches O'Houlihan said. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
exactly. All right, we're running out of time.
So I don't want to run out of time, but I want to answer the Regional Advisory Council thing, if that's okay.
Sure.
So the Regional Advisory Council has been pretty much a non-existent organization, a non-existent group for a number of years. It's simply been not as well led as it could be. We have a new Regional Advisory Council director who's very proactive and has got that organization up and running only this year, really, to be successful. And so we've done a lot of training to our regions to just make sure that the region presidents are aware of the things that are available to them from national, which is not something that was happening. So, when we're being clandestine and not telling people the tools that they can use and the things that are available to them, that's a good example of us actually doing the opposite of what we're saying, what's trying to be said that we do. But that group, there's nothing to stop any member from making a suggestion of how we can make things better. And either we'll be able to take it forward straight away, great idea, we can do it, no problem. Or we can do it in a few years' time, or it's probably not something that we can do, or it's not something that's viable to do because. And in the past, we never said the because. I'm here now. I will always tell you why we can't do something or why we can't do it straight away. But the Regional Advisory Council is really important. We're going to use that tool a lot more. We're going to use surveys to members as well, so we're actually getting direct feedback. That's the whole point of getting SurveyMonkey and digitizing. But that little group isn't a clandestine group. It's the region presidents used to be trustees of the Nmra, so they all used to sit at the top table. And that all changed, and that was about 20 years ago. And so regions are really important, because if the regions are struggling and we're just giving them an amount of money per year and they're really, really struggling, we need to understand that, we need to hear that, and we need to get that feedback. We're not going to get that if we don't ask and we don't talk to people and we don't all communicate and share good practice and all that kind of stuff. So that group is really important to us going forward. Yes, you can go and, anyone can go and talk to their region president and say, hey, when you're at the Regional Advisory Council, please say this. But you don't have to do that. You can bring it straight to national if you think national should do something. But it's good for us to talk things through, for them to get their feedback and to share good practice as well, and to share how, if one area is doing something slightly different, because of COVID or because of something else or whatever reason, they're able to share that, and that's what's been done. So it's not, it is really not as secretive as people might think. It's literally just another mechanism for us to disseminate information and to get feedback. And the more feedback we can get, the more feedback we can get, the more information we can disseminate, the less people think that we're some kind of secret society. So, It serves its purpose.
You are going to change the Nmra so much and make it so much better than it is. And because of this is a perfect example of it. I have always felt that I can give you the gears, give you a hard time, and always speak my mind. And I think people will find, as we go along here, that everybody has the ability to speak to Gordy and speak their mind, because Gordy is interested in improving the Nmra. And I was saying to somebody, I forget, I might have been on a podcast, it might have been to Bruce, but I was saying to somebody that we can thank our lucky stars that Gordy showed up. And then I thought to myself, no, because I've told this story before about, you tell this very passionate story about when you were a young lad, there was these guys that belonged to a model railroad club that were very welcoming to you and belonged to the NMRA. And that's where your passion comes from. So the guys we need to thank that are going to improve the NMRA are those guys that you talked to 20 years or 25 years ago as a young lad. So,
Absolutely.
And what is this about your, are we okay with the fact that Peter Borchard's is going to be the vice president of the British region?
And I think the more people who are the next generation of retired people to get involved in the organisation, the better. I think Peter will do a fantastic job. He's been a volunteer at British region level for over a decade.
Yes, I know he's done quite a bit of work over there.
And what you don't realize is it's your enthusiasm that draws people towards being part of the organization and doing whatever they can to help. And on that note, well, let me just say that whatever I can do with the podcast to help the NMRA, I'm more than happy to do it. If you want to get people on here that you want to have the world hear about them or talk to them or whatever, you just let me know and we'll continue. And we're going to get you on here regularly, and I'll yell at you on a regular basis.
And that's fine. I would love to have the opportunity to get some of our unsung heroes, if I can persuade them to come out from their testing lab. If they listen to this, and they're going to be asking me for this 20,000 square feet lab in Silicon Valley at this rate.
We should put this on the NMRA website.
We can do that.
I think we should. That's what we should do. Hey, Bruce, I just had an idea.
Speak to speed.
We should do this like every 3 months or something, and they should put the podcasts on the NMRA website so that they can hear the president talking.
There you go.
We can do that. Just share the link and Speed will pop it up there. So we can absolutely do.
I think that's a great idea. Chats with the NMRA president, and we'll get questions, and we'll even get people on here, and we'll do feedback. One last thing. How cool is it that you're the I know. How cool is it that you're an MMR? Master
really
Model
cool.
Railroader.
It's really cool. I never got presented with anything. It just turned up in the post a bit. It looks like someone shot it on the way across the Atlantic. It's got a bit of a bullet hole in it. But yeah, my plaque just turned up in the post. No one really presented me with anything. So it's a bit weird, really. I keep kind of forgetting, and then I see the certificate behind me and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. No, it's really cool. I'm really pleased. And
What number?
680.
680?
Yeah.
680?
Yeah.
Is that the address of the NMRA headquarters?
No, the address of the NMRA headquarters. If you want it, I can give it to you.
I've got it right here. I got it.
You got it?
I got it right here. You know what people need to know is if they want to see the finances, they're very organized on the website. If they just go to the NMRA website and across the top, if you go to, let's see, how did I get to it? Let me see. Don't tell me. Let me get to it. I'm going to go to home, and then I'm going to go to membership, contact. I went to contact. And that's when I found the post office box. But on the right-hand side on the website, it says NMRA Finance. And then if you go there, boom, all the IRS forms 990 from 2010 to 2019 are posted. And on that and on those things, it says 8414 Gulfview Drive, Soddy Daisy, Tennessee, 37379. And if you want to call them and talk personally with them, it's 423-892-2846.
Yeah, they'll open from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time.
There you go.
They're a great team.
So how do you think this went?
It was absolutely fine. Apart from, I apologize for the wind and the fact that we're on an island and the internet cuts out a little bit. So
that's okay. That didn't matter. Were you okay with me yelling at you?
Don't mind at all.
What'd you think, Bruce? Oh, Bruce is on mute now.
Yes, the stupid dogs are yapping again. No, I thought it went well. Like Gordy certainly answered some tough questions and gave us a good idea what he is planning and hoping his team can deliver on over the next few years. And I can only see positive things coming out of all this.
I see only positive things. I can't see any negatives, Gordy, from you being the president of the NMRA. I see only positives. I'm very, very excited about this. And a perfect example is you found out that there was no national conventions scheduled and you jumped in there and got stuff organized, and now you have 2 bids coming up. I see nothing but positives with Gordy Robinson being the president of the NMRA. Nothing but positives. And I will continue to yell at you and voice my opinion.
And that's fine. Everyone's welcome to ask me any question. If I can answer it, I will. If I can't, I'll tell you why. And if I don't know the answer, I'll find out.
All right.
That's all we can do.
Okay. That's good. Are you going to go to Springfield?
Looking at the current situation in this country, probably not, unfortunately. I would have loved to have come out, but I've just started a new job back in the hospital, and that'll be in the middle of winter, so it'll probably be a little bit difficult with the current COVID situation in the UK for me to be able to get out to Springfield to get back. I've also, to be fiscally responsible, I've also canned the winter board meeting for 2022, and
then it got blown away into the North Sea.
You get blown away on the wind again. Some of this can stay in.
So,
all right. So you can the winter. You can the winter.
Yeah, the waves must be breaking over the Churchill barriers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you can't. Or go ahead. You can the winter board meeting.
Yep, can the winter board meeting. And so that saves us a significant amount of money for not holding that. And
you mean you can't a physical meeting? You'll still have a virtual meeting, right?
Oh yeah, we'll still have a board meeting virtually though. Virtually is a lot less cost and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are huge benefits, and the organisation nationally right now, with the changes, with new people coming in and stuff, and the projects we want to drive forward, we need some what I call committee time. We need some face-to-face time. Departments with said individual directors that we've made. So we've made a director responsible for all work to assigned a director to a department, so they're all got upwards and downwards linkage and they've got a voice. And someone that's championed them at the board level. So we need that face-to-face time. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get it before St. Louis, and I just hope that things start settle down and calm down a bit so we can get the Aussies out and over to St. Louis as well, so we can get that time together that we need to plan the next couple of years going forward. We won't.
You started another new job?
Yeah, so I'm now working 2 jobs and the Nmra presidency.
So what's the new job? So you're working for a company in Kirkwall.
Yeah, and I still work for them just to help them out, at least through February, for a couple of hours a week, a couple of evenings a week. And then I work full-time now at the hospital. I'm the head of information governance and data protection.
That's in where's the hospital?
In Kirkwall.
Okay.
In Kirkwall as well, yeah. It's a brand new hospital, new build, just opened in 2019, just before COVID. So it's a nice facility, and I work and make sure that the organization's looking after and handling people's data to the best it can for the best outcomes for the community from a health perspective. So that's what we do.
So do you have an office there?
It's not. So the UK quite likes big open plan offices. So I'm in a big, massive room with about 150 desks, but I think there's only about 40 people in there because of social distancing. So I don't have my own room. The only person who has his own office is the chief executive of the hospital. Everybody else works together collaboratively on an open plan.
Do you have a cubicle?
No, we don't even have cubicles.
What do you just kind of stand around and use a table?
We literally just have desks everywhere. We literally don't have any of that. It's completely collaborative.
Oh wow!
So if you're bored, you can fire a paper airplane at the guy down the way to get his attention.
Yeah, but if we want to have if we need to have a conversation, we can just all spin around and have a big conversation. We don't need to go to the meeting room. So it's very, very good for visibility and stuff like that. Actually, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and so the people where you work in Kirkwall, the other company, they're pretty. I think it's pretty cool that you're president of the NMRA. Eh? I guess everybody knows.
Everybody does. They think it's amazing that there's such a big organization, and for one, that exists in the world, and also that it's got such a diverse board from all over the world. And the president is from Orkney. He's in Orkney.
How about the guy just down the back fence, across the back fence from you? Does he know?
Terry, yeah, I remember the other member in Orkney, the other NMRA member in Orkney. Yeah, he does. And I went down for a cup of coffee on Saturday. Took him down some trains that were more appropriate to some stuff I built in my early 20s, late teens, some 00, some 4mm stuff, but it was all kit built hoppers and locomotives and stuff, and I took that down to him for him to re-gauge and use on his layout. So he's quite pleased with that, but I have no use to it, so I just helped him out and just
So
passed it over, so.
after St. Louis National Convention, where might the National Convention be?
Oh, it's definitely in Dallas-Fort Worth in Texas in 2023. That is not a secret. That's confirmed, and it's at the Gaylord in Fort Worth.
Okay, and then where might it be after that, or you can't tell?
In the United States.
Oh, okay. So like somewhere in the lower 48.
Yes.
Okay. West Coast or East Coast?
West Coast, I think.
Then the East Coast.
East the year after East Coast time zone, but not near the coast. It would be too far from the sea to eat fish.
Well, the best seafood travels 200 miles inland. Everybody knows that.
But it's a place where they particularly like. I think it's catfish. So.
Catfish are jumping. Black water keeps going.
Yeah,
they jump over the plexiglass and stuff like that. So
Bruce, can you give out our email address?
Yes, because I'm certain everybody's got some comments and questions. And if you have questions for Gordy, let us know and we will forward them to him and get answers best we can. Our email address is modelerslife. That's modelers with one L. modelerslife@gmail.com.
And we have a website, modelerslife.com. And if you go there, if you don't want to fill out the address and you just want an easy way to send an email, if you go to the website and click on the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, and you just click on that picture, boom, all you got to do is fill in the title of the email and put in your text, and boom, there, and hit send, and it's gone.
Simple as good.
And we'll answer your emails, whether it's positive or negative. We want to hear your comments, and we talk about them all on the intranet, on the show, on the big viewer mail shoe. And if you want, hey, Gordy, if you want to...
What else is on the website there, Alano?
Well, if you want to... Well, there's all kinds of... Actually, this will be on the public channel, so there's a Patreon. If you like this show where I was yelling at Gordy for a good half hour, you can for just 365 payments, so 16 cents, you can get 2 podcasts a week. You can double your podcasting fun and join the Patreon channel. And our buddy Kaylee Zane calls that's on Tuesdays, and she calls that the Antics channel. And so you can do that. Plus, if you go to if you want some swag, if you want T-shirts, hoodies, mugs, hats, anything you could possibly want, you just go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and click on the right across the navigation bar, and over on the right it says AML, and boom, you click on that, and you are in a wonderland of AML merchandise.
Hey Lionel, based on those figures that you've just provided there, I work out based on the number of listeners to AML that you're worth more than Elon Musk.
Possibly.
There you go.
Maybe.
Yeah. Who wants to know?
Yeah, who wants to know? You know what to do next, Gordy?
No, I haven't got a clue.
Okay, well, I got a feeling you'll pick up on it. So get ready. Are you ready?
Ready.
You're ready. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Nmra presidents.
Portions of this podcast was sponsored by Pakalana Inn. Pakalana Inn is located on the Big Island of Hawaii in historic and beautiful downtown Hilo. Our 5 bedrooms are recently renovated and feature modern conveniences of home. Every room has a view and the staff is
marginally adequate.
Check us out at pakalanainn.com.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Well, can you say it with a bit more gusto?
How much gusto do you need? You've just beaten me for 2 hours. Honestly.
He does have a point.
Yeah, he's got a point
I feel
there.
like I've been in a POW camp.
We have things to make you talk, Gordy.
Yeah.
Yeah.